What happens if you're the king of the jungle but return to the present day? Today, we'll be recapping Soul Station Druid. Our story starts with a young man named Suho, who was just your typical guy, busy texting his mum like any responsible son. Normally, he loved hanging out with his friends, but fate had other plans for him that day. As Suho grumbled his way through the event, fate decided to throw another curveball at him. He accidentally bumped into a stranger and received a scolding that made him feel like he'd been dunked in a pool of embarrassment. He quickly apologized, but deep down, he couldn't help feeling a mix of disgust and frustration. Just when Suho thought things couldn't get any worse, chaos struck the city in the form of a lightning storm. One strike after another, the sky turned into a dazzling spectacle of destruction. It was like watching a fireworks display gone horribly wrong. Suho stood there in awe, unable to comprehend the sheer devastation unfolding before his eyes. People were dying left and right, and all he could think about was how to save himself. With panic driving his every move, Suho sprinted through the chaos, desperately trying to escape the wrath of the relentless lightning. But just as he thought his luck had run out, he spotted a truck barreling towards him. In that heart-stopping moment, it felt like his life was flashing before his eyes. And then, a miraculous twist of fate occurred. Suho woke up, drenched in sweat, only to find himself in an unfamiliar place. As his eyes adjusted to the surroundings, he looked up and saw not one but two moons in the night sky. Strange creatures roamed the land, unlike anything he had ever encountered before. To say Suho was bewildered would be an understatement. Now, completely disoriented and naked, yes, naked, Suho found himself in a whole new world. Questions flooded his mind, but there were no answers in sight. Just when he thought things couldn't get any crazier, a life-or-death encounter with a bear loomed before him. But hold on tight, because this time, Suho witnessed an epic showdown between the bear and a pack of wolves. Talk about a jaw-dropping moment! Reality had taken a vacation, leaving Suho scratching his head in disbelief. How did he end up here? Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Who is your all-time favourite manhwa protagonist and why? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now back to the recap. In a world where survival is everything, Suho dashes with all his might, unaware of his destination, but driven by an unstoppable need to run. Suddenly, a mysterious window startles him, announcing that his stamina has increased by 1. Caught off guard, Suho stumbles and falls to the ground. Undeterred by his fall, Suho's body now craves nourishment. Surrounded by an array of fruits, he hesitates, unsure if they are safe to eat. After all, this unfamiliar world offers no guarantees. Filled with trepidation, he resists temptation but eventually succumbs, taking a bite. Just as he's about to consume the fruit, a rustling sound disrupts the silence. In this untamed wilderness, every noise serves as a warning. Concealed in the grass, a lurking figure threatens Suho's life. Without warning, a colossal snake lunges forward, ready to strike. Yet fate twists the predator's fortune, as an even greater force, a giant frog, from above intervenes and turns it into prey. In a matter of minutes, Suho narrowly escapes death twice in this enigmatic realm. Uncertain of how long he can survive, he realizes that miracles can't happen at every turn. To endure, he must acquire skills and knowledge, for each day in this place is a grueling contest where only the strongest prevail. As 66 days pass, Suho clings to life, relentlessly pursued by a pack of wolves. He knows they will never cease their chase until he takes his last breath. Accepting his new reality, he understands that constant self-improvement is the only wise choice. A year elapses, and Suho has grown immensely since his arrival. He now possesses the strength to lift heavy objects, aiding in his quest for sustenance. Having secured a giant banana as his daily nourishment, Suho remains haunted by the persistent presence of a white wolf cub fixated on him. As he devours the fruit, an ominous feeling envelops him, and he turns to discover a charging gorilla. It's a battle of survival, but Suho's experience grants him the skills to triumph without relying on miracles. The immense gorilla crashes to the ground, its colossal size causing it to stumble. As it regains composure, it realizes it had nearly slain a vengeful wolf. Like any wild predator, the gorilla detests being challenged by a weaker creature. It bellows, attempting to frighten the wolf away, but the determined predator refuses to retreat. The gorilla strikes, but its efforts fall short, leaving it no choice but to strike again. In a courageous act, Suho intervenes, thrusting a blade into the gorilla's eye, intensifying its fury beyond measure. The wolf seizes the opportunity to flee, yet Suho cannot escape. Now, he must confront an enraged gorilla, more determined than ever to claim his life. But just as the climax approaches, we snap back to the present, Suho in the real world, surrounded by doctors. He recounts his extraordinary tale, attempting to explain the unfathomable encounters he endured. Although skeptical, the doctors find something intriguing about his story, prompting one to question why Suho would engage in a battle he knew he couldn't win against the gorilla. With conviction, Suho enlightens them about the essence of fighting and the necessity of overcoming greater adversaries to become stronger and more powerful. He reveals that no matter where one goes, there will always be a ruler. On the other side, tensions reach their peak as Gorilla prepares to deliver the final blow to Suho. But just when all hope seems lost, a surprising turn of events unfolds. Out of nowhere, a majestic white wolf leaps into action, lunging at the gorilla with ferocious determination. Gorilla is taken aback, unable to believe his eyes. The very creature that had once sought Suho's demise is now his fearless protector, willing to sacrifice its own life for him. The entire group seizes this unexpected opportunity, launching a united assault on the gorilla. Suho is left dumbfounded as he watches the wolves, his former adversaries, rallying to save him. Overwhelmed by the intense clash, Suho loses consciousness, but the wolves show restraint. They hold back their aggression because the pup Suho had selflessly saved earlier happens to be the king's son. In a remarkable display of honor, the wolf pack acknowledges Suho's noble act. As time passes, the boundaries between enemies and friends blur. Suho becomes an integral part of the wolf pack, embraced as if he had always been one of them. The once lonely boy discovers a sense of belonging and acceptance among these remarkable animals, who were the first to embrace him in this strange new world. Fast forward to Suho's 31st year, and he is virtually unrecognizable from his former self. What was once a timid, vulnerable boy has transformed into a fearless warrior, fearlessly taking on formidable adversaries, including gigantic snakes. He now stands ready to do anything to protect his newfound family, the wolves. Together they embark on hunting expeditions, easily taking down even the largest of boars. The passing years fail to yield another human like Suho in this wild realm. He forges deep bonds with his lupine companions, experiencing both the joy of making new friends and the sorrow of losing cherished ones. Initially uncertain of his survival in this untamed land, Suho defies the odds, remaining standing stronger than ever, even after centuries of challenges. Mesmerized by Suho's incredible tale, the Doctor finds it the most captivating story he has ever heard. After all, no ordinary human can live for 500 years, let alone become the revered king of wolves. Intrigued, the Doctor poses the pivotal question: how did Suho manage to return? With a reflective gaze, Suho begins recounting the tale of the war he ignited against the gorillas at Moonlight Hill. Leading the wolves into battle, Suho was prepared to claim their greatest victory yet. The conflict erupted, resulting in a brutal clash where lives were mercilessly lost. Suho set his sights on the king gorilla, knowing that defeating it would seal their triumph. With unwavering determination, he closed in on his target, victory seemingly within his grasp. But then, in a twist of fate, something extraordinary occurred, and Suho vanished from the world without a trace. Meanwhile, back on Earth, a group of individuals scours the desolate ruins of a decimated city, desperately searching for something of great importance. Suddenly, their device starts emitting signals, indicating that a momentous event is about to unfold. Fear grips them, and they scramble to flee as a mysterious portal materializes before them. A brave girl brandishing a sword stands her ground, ready to face whatever emerges from the portal. As it opens, the figure that steps through is none other than Suho himself. We kick things off with a bang as a portal opens, crackling with enormous energy. In a flash, it disappears, leaving behind a bewildered Suho, lying on the ground in all his naked glory. But hold on, folks, this isn't your typical day at the park. Turns out everyone thinks this is just another returner. No biggie, right? Fast forward to Suho waking up in a hospital, surrounded by doctors and a feeling of disorientation. Cue the suspenseful music. One doctor, eager to document Suho's experience, assures him that he's perfectly fine and will be discharged soon. But wait, what's this? Suho stops the doctor, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. Turns out this is the first human he's talked to in thousands of years. Talk about a plot twist. The doctor, intrigued by this unexpected encounter, knows he's struck gold with this information. Meanwhile, at the top secret Awakener Bureau headquarters, we meet our mysterious girl and her boss. They're discussing none other than Suho, the rare F-rank patient. The boss explains that if Suho were an E-rank patient, he'd be showered with government benefits. Intrigued by Suho's extraordinary journey, the girl wonders how an F-rank managed to go through a portal. Could it be sheer luck? The boss reveals the shocking truth in the doctor's report. Suho is acting like a wolf and suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. The girl, determined to uncover the truth, decides to deliver the report in person. Hold on to your seats, folks, because this roller coaster is about to take off. Back at the hospital, Suho finds himself lost in thought, reminiscing about the thousands of years he spent in that bizarre world. 2 weeks have passed since his return, yet he's still struggling to adjust to his life on Earth. He yearns for the wild adventures and the companions he left behind. But duty calls. The nurse interrupts his daydream, reminding him that it's time for lunch. Hungry and lost in contemplation, Suho decides to satisfy his stomach before delving deeper into his memories. And just when you think things couldn't get any more exciting, enter Choi Soo-young, a captivating figure who bursts into Suho's room like a force of nature. Sparks fly as Suho recognizes her scent and recalls their encounter when he first returned from the portal. But wait, he's a changed man now, no longer as dangerous as before. Phew, what a relief. Curiosity piqued, Suho asks Soo-young about the Awakener Bureau. She spills the beans, revealing that it's an organization that helps returnees like him readjust to society. Eager to gather more information, Soo-young requests Suho's consent to share his details. But hold your breath, folks, because Suho's attention is drawn to something unexpected, the humble pen. It's been ages since he held one. Caught up in the moment, he starts doodling a magnificent wolf on it. Soo-young, growing impatient, can't help but be annoyed. She questions his artistic skills, but Suho smugly informs her that he's already a master artist. The plot thickens. With disappointment etched on her face, Soo-young wonders if Suho accomplished anything useful in his time away. Suho, quick to correct her, reminds her that it wasn't just a few years, it was thousands. The time difference is mind-boggling. The woman still doesn't believe him. As Soo-young hands him his Awakener ID card, she suggests that he reunite with his long-lost family. Cue the tears of joy. As Suho's world fills with newfound purpose, he realizes that his family, whom he thought were gone forever, are alive and well. The excitement is palpable as he eagerly anticipates the long-awaited reunion. Suho's world was turned upside down. He had finally reunited with his real family, but in the process, he had lost his forest family, with whom he had shared countless years. The weight of this realization hit him hard. As he checked the report, he discovered the heartbreaking news that both his parents had passed away on the day of his return, leaving only his brother Junho alive. In a rush of emotions, Suho leapt out of bed and hurried to meet with the doctor. He desperately asked for a favor, to which the doctor responded, "What help can I give?" Undeterred, Suho revealed that his little brother was still alive and that he needed to meet him immediately. The doctor, aware of Suho's fragile state and recent return, tried to advise him against diving back into society so soon, but Suho was in no mood for advice and with ruthless determination ordered the doctor to help him. Reluctantly, the doctor agreed to assist, but only under one condition. Later, we find Suho sitting in a taxi, ready to leave the hospital. The doctor, whom Suho affectionately called Dr. Baldy, warned the taxi driver about Suho's condition. As Suho embarked on his journey, the doctor's nurse curiously questioned the doctor's generosity. Why would he go to such lengths for someone like Suho? The doctor responded, explaining that Suho's story, although possibly fantastical, intrigued him like no other. He saw Suho as a potential living Frankenstein, a captivating enigma that the government had overlooked. Back in the doctor's office, he asked the nurse to get the broken door handle repaired. Surprised, she asked how it had happened. It turned out that Suho, even in the normal world, possessed an otherworldly strength acquired through his thousands of years of experience. This revelation excited the doctor, as it could serve as evidence of the authenticity of Suho's extraordinary story. After all, it was only the second time the door handle had broken. Meanwhile, Suho found himself stuck in traffic, listening to the radio in his car. Startling news echoed through the speakers. The city was under attack by rampaging monsters. The defense forces had managed to regain control, but not without casualties. As Suho absorbed this information, the radio host also mentioned the SBFC Championship, a tournament among the Awakeners to determine the best. The Russian Bear, ranked 34th, was facing off against Beyond Horizon, ranked 48th, with the winner earning a chance to challenge Japan's current number 1. Suho found the concept intriguing, yet unfamiliar. The excited taxi driver, however, appeared nonchalant, as if such events were commonplace. Suho realized that the world had changed significantly during his absence, and this was just the beginning. Curiosity piqued, Suho questioned the driver about the hunting grounds mentioned on the radio. Confusion filled the air as the driver realized that Suho had been absent for the past 10 years. Eager to enlighten him, the driver agreed to share everything. He revealed that a decade ago, a door to a different world had opened, not just in Korea but worldwide. marking the disastrous Day of the Great Disaster. As a result, Earth became connected to numerous other realms, and hordes of monsters invaded. The devastation was unimaginable, resulting in the loss of 10% of the global population in a single day. Governments across the globe deployed armies, but they quickly discovered that conventional forces stood no chance against the monster onslaught. Those who had disappeared during the Great Disaster became known as Awakeners, and were granted licenses to become mercenaries. It was their duty to eliminate the monsters in exchange for payment. Over time, mercenary work evolved into a full-fledged industry, with guilds forming and life becoming dependent on their services. They were humanity's only defense against the relentless monsters. Intrigued by the concept of being a mercenary, Suho asked the driver how he could become one. Laughing, the driver explained that it was impossible for an ordinary human. Only Awakeners could aspire to become mercenaries, but they had to pass the mercenary examination at the Awakeners Bureau. Suho listened intently, reminiscing about his past life as a mighty warrior, where battles were his way of life rather than a mere occupation. The idea of taking an examination seemed daunting, yet he couldn't deny the stirring excitement within him. The taxi arrived at its destination, a house where Suho was finally going to meet a family member after 10 long years. Nervously, he stood outside, contemplating his next steps. Suddenly, an elderly woman noticed him and stared intently. To break the silence, Suho mustered the courage to ask her if she knew Junho. Little did he know that his question would trigger a wave of anger. The woman unleashed her frustration, vehemently denying the existence of anyone by that name in the building. Confused, Suho began to question whether he had the wrong address. Just as he considered leaving, a voice called out from inside, a kid named Gunwoo. Suho eavesdropped on Gunwoo and the old woman's conversation about relentless moneylenders harassing them daily. Seeking some answers, Suho checked their mailbox, discovering that his brother was drowning in debt. He retreated, deep in thought, contemplating the nature of true power. In the world he had left behind, strength reigned supreme, but now it seemed that money held the true power in the normal world. With these thoughts swirling in his mind, Suho embarked on a new journey, uncertain of what lay ahead. His return to the real world had revealed a vastly changed society, filled with monsters, mercenaries, and the dominance of money. Our hero, Suho, is on a mission to become a legendary mercenary. He heads straight to the prestigious Awakener Bureau, pumped up and ready to prove himself. But alas, his dreams are crushed when his application gets rejected. What? How could they do this to our determined protagonist? Suho objects, expressing his disbelief. After all, he's a total freak who just returned to Earth 2 weeks ago. The receptionist sympathetically explains that most people perish when the portal opens, and they can't just let anyone become a hunter. Harsh, but fair, right? Now here's where things get interesting. Suho finds out that he's 4 Awakener points short of being eligible for the exam. Cue dramatic music. The receptionist suggests he either join Awakener school or manually increase his points. Until then, no exam for Suho. Talk about a setback on his path to mercenary greatness. But wait, what's that? As Suho is leaving, he spots a captivating bounty poster. It catches his eye like a moth to a flame. The poster boasts the name Suwon Field's Goblins, a monster that's just begging to be defeated. Suho's curiosity and determination are piqued. Could this be his chance to prove himself? While riding in a taxi, our hero can't help but ask the driver about the abundance of walls surrounding the city. The driver gladly fills him in on the secret. Seoul is divided into 12 areas, protected by these walls and multiple gates. It's like a whole new world within the city. Finally arriving at Gate 27, Suho's excitement is palpable. He's about to enter the hunting grounds, and not even a smidge of nervousness or fear can be detected. He's a true warrior at heart, but hold on. 2 military guards abruptly halt Suho's progress, demanding to know his business. With confidence radiating from his every pore, Suho responds with a single word: hunting. The guards, unimpressed, ask to see his mercenary license. To their surprise, and his, Suho confesses he has none. And just when things couldn't get more intense, a wild, monster-filled car chase appears out of nowhere. The guards shift their attention to the unfolding chaos, leaving Suho unattended for a brief moment. Sneaky Suho takes advantage of the situation, disappearing like a phantom. Now, our resourceful hero knows he needs to prepare for his mercenary endeavors. He starts by gathering essential items like a car and a smartphone. After all, one must be well equipped to hunt monsters effectively. As the sun sets and the sky turns a mesmerizing shade of blue, Suho finds himself lost in nostalgic memories. It's a serene moment that reminds him of his past, the countless years he spent honing his physical skills. And guess what? He hasn't lost a single one of them. They're as sharp as ever, ready to be unleashed on the world. With his goal of becoming a mercenary burning brightly in his heart, Suho stumbles upon a group of monsters surrounding a defenseless creature. This, he decides, is the perfect opportunity to put his skills to the test and protect mankind. In a breathtaking display of strength and prowess, Suho engages the monsters, dispatching them with ruthless efficiency. It's like he's reliving his battles against the otherworldly creatures he once faced. The adrenaline rushes through his veins as victory is secured. But wait, out of the blue, a mysterious screen pops up before him, displaying the intriguing message, "Searching for your class." Suddenly it feels as if Suho is immersed in a high-tech gaming experience, with screens surrounding him like an immersive virtual world. What could this system error mean? Suho is left puzzled, eager to unravel this enigma. Suho finds himself under attack. The monsters think they have the upper hand, but little do they know that Suho is about to teach them a lesson they won't soon forget. With an effortless display of skill, he swiftly defeats each and every monster that dares to challenge him. Just as Suho revels in his victory, a puzzling message appears, indicating a system error and a failed attempt to reset his stats. Perplexed, he recalls similar messages from another world, where he once maxed out his physical abilities but stopped leveling up. To his surprise, it seems that this mysterious system has followed him to Earth. Suddenly, an achievement pops up before Suho's eyes. He realizes that this might be his awakening, a chance to uncover the true extent of his powers. With a total of 7 points at his disposal, Suho decides to spend them wisely. To his amazement, bread and water materialize before him, and he also notices a dying dog that he had saved earlier. With a twinge of sadness, Suho watches the dog pass away, making a solemn promise to take care of the orphaned puppy. Gazing into the innocent eyes of the puppy, Suho makes a life-changing decision. He chooses the pup as his loyal companion, forging a bond amidst loss and newfound responsibility. As morning breaks, Suho and the puppy bid their final farewell to the fallen mother dog, paying their respects. At Gate 27, a crowd eagerly awaits its opening. To everyone's astonishment, Suho emerges, accompanied by the defeated monsters he had vanquished. The once doubtful guards now stand in utter disbelief. How could someone effortlessly dispatch all these creatures and bring them to this very spot? Unfazed by the shocked onlookers, Suho heads to the counter to claim his well-deserved reward. He is handed a hefty sum of $2,100 in cash, a bounty for his goblin slaying and blood crystal collecting. Although he lacks a bank account, the receptionist suggests he register to make future transactions smoother. Curious about the valuable blood crystals, Suho engages the receptionist in conversation. She reveals that these precious gems were contained within the goblins he had dispatched, fetching a handsome price of $200 each. Realizing the potential for profit, Suho sees an opportunity to earn money doing what he excels at, hunting. As our story unfolds, we find ourselves in a store where a man discusses his new job as a truck driver with the shop owner. To our surprise, this man is none other than Suho's brother Junho. The shop owner congratulates him, aware that this job will help alleviate his financial troubles. On his way back, Junho encounters Money, a menacing figure demanding payment for borrowed funds. They rough him up, revealing his failure to meet their expectations. In desperation, Junho hands over $2,240, the principal amount and interest for the month. However, this gesture falls short of the lender's demands, leading to further aggression. Overwhelmed and on the verge of despair, Junho breaks down, pleading for forgiveness and vowing to repay his debts within the given time. But just as his tormentors persist in their violent acts, a commanding voice pierces through the air, freezing them in their tracks. All eyes turn toward the source of the voice, revealing Suho in a furious rage, determined to protect his brother. In an instant, Junho recognizes his savior, none other than his own brother Suho. Suho walks towards his long-lost brother, finally confronting him and demanding confirmation if he is indeed Park Junho. But before we delve into their intense encounter, let's take a trip back in time to a fateful day before the great disaster. Even in this flashback, things aren't much different for poor Junho. Bullies at school relentlessly attack him, leaving him defenseless and desperate for help. And just when it seems all hope is lost, he spots his brother nearby and calls out for assistance. To Junho's dismay, Suho doesn't react at all, not even sparing a glance in his direction as Junho cries out for aid. Perhaps Suho doubted his own abilities back then, before he became a fearless warrior in the wild. Junho realizes the bitter truth about his brother's uselessness. Fast forward to the day of the great disaster, where Junho sits in front of the television when suddenly emergency news flashes across the screen, reporting a massive explosion. Panic sets in as Junho realizes Suho is still not home, and he rushes to the door, only to be stopped by his aunt and uncle. A small relief washes over them as they discover Junho is safe at home, but their hearts sink when he mentions Suho's absence. Just then, a colossal explosion shatters their building, leaving devastation in its wake. As Junho dusts himself off from the rubble, he finds himself face to face with a monstrous eye staring back at him. From that day onward, Junho couldn't care less if his brother was alive or dead. Their relationship had never been strong enough to inspire concern. Now, let's return to the present, where Junho stands in stunned silence after coming face to face with his long-lost brother. Surprisingly, Suho remains calm and cracks a joke about how much older he looks, even though he's the younger sibling. Junho, still reeling from the shock, musters the courage to ask how Suho is alive and well, but before they can continue their conversation, an intrusive moneylender interrupts, believing the brothers to be mentally ill. This infuriates Suho, and he can't bear to see his brother insulted any longer. In an impressive display of strength, Suho swiftly smashes the moneylender's head into the ground. This newfound power shocks Junho, who had never witnessed such a display before. Another individual tries to take on Suho, but he effortlessly stops the attack mid-air, snapping the assailant's leg within seconds. The horrifying scene prompts the third person to beg for mercy, claiming he never laid a finger on Junho. In an act of surprising generosity, Suho hands over all the money he earned from hunting monsters to the moneylender. With the ordeal behind them, the brothers leave the scene together. Upon arriving at Junho's apartment, Suho encounters the same grumpy granny who previously dismissed him, but her attitude has shifted. She now recognizes Suho as Junho's brother and invites them inside. As they enter, Junho proudly introduces his sleeping son Gunwoo to Suho. He emphasizes that his son is now the most important person in his life, and he would do anything for him. Curious about the child's mother, Suho learns that she left the family to live independently. Junho blames himself, believing his financial failures pushed her away. Suho suggests they sit down together and have a drink, acknowledging that there is a lot to catch up on. Junho reveals that he had always believed Suho perished in the disaster, making his reappearance as an awakener the craziest thing that has happened. Suho decides to help his brother by assessing the debt he owes, which amounts to $50,000. Junho assures him that he no longer needs to worry because he has secured a new job that will enable him to repay all his debts. Curious about Junho's new occupation, Suho inquires further and discovers that he now works at a store. Suho's eyes light up with an idea, and he asks about the ownership of the truck Junho uses. Junho explains that the truck belonged to Granny's son, who tragically lost his life during the Great Disaster. Granny has taken on the responsibility of caring for his son, as she considers him family. Meanwhile, Gunwoo wakes up from his slumber and is delighted to find a furry companion by his side. The sight of his father and uncle together fills him with joy, and he politely requests to play with Suho's dog. With a warm smile, Suho happily agrees, brightening Gunwoo's day, as he had always longed for a dog, but couldn't afford one. Taking a moment to share his plan with Junho, Suho suggests that they work together and make a fortune, leveraging Junho's truck. He introduces the concept of monster hunting. The next day, Suho strides into the Awakener Bureau, surprising them with the news that he's leveled up overnight. The receptionist, intrigued, hands him a sleek smartphone called the X-Phone 50 and suggests he download the Awakener Bureau app for the latest updates and the mercenary exam schedule. She also mentions some problems with the stat screens, piquing Suho's confusion. In a sudden twist, a screen materializes before Suho, displaying his still labeled level 1 stats. It all makes sense now why he felt so weak. Armed with his new smartphone and all the essentials, Suho is determined to power up and embark on a thrilling monster hunting adventure. Unable to contain his excitement, Suho immediately dials his brother to share the news. Junho congratulates him on becoming a full-fledged mercenary and wishes him luck for the upcoming exam. While Junho promises to join him after completing his own job, Suho's eagerness gets the better of him, demanding his brother's immediate presence for a monster hunting spree to pay off their debts. With a gentle reminder that it's too early for such endeavors, Junho tries to reason with Suho, reminding him of his own limitations. However, Suho, unyielding to excuses, abruptly ends the call. Junho realizes his brother has undergone a remarkable transformation, no longer the feeble Junho he once knew. Eager to set off, Suho embarks on a quest to find the nearest hunting ground. A bustling crowd packed with cars awaits entry into the hunting grounds. Some brave souls venture solo, while others form formidable teams, well aware that monster hunting is no easy task. Our attention turns to a team of 5 individuals preparing themselves. 3 of them exhibit signs of nervousness despite being awakeners, while the 2 at the forefront exude an aura of readiness. Attempting to calm their teammates' nerves, they suddenly spot Suho's unexpected arrival. Curiosity piqued, the team approaches Suho. The receptionist asks for his Awakener ID, granting him access, but not before cautioning him against entering dungeons. Observing Suho confidently strolling without any weapons or equipment, seemingly unbothered by the monsters, onlookers whisper amongst themselves. The police guards join the conversation, sharing tales of Suho's previous exploits, such as his impressive feat of slaying 7 goblins at Gate 27. Intrigued by Suho's demeanor, the team decides to chase after him. However, as they enter the hunting grounds, they lose sight of their enigmatic target. Suho, eager to test his newfound abilities, begins by sprinting, pushing his limits to gauge his fighting prowess. Suddenly, a cacophony of voices engulfs Suho's surroundings. Turning his gaze, he witnesses 2 groups engaged in a ferocious sword fight, limbs being severed amidst the chaotic clash. Realizing the sheer numerical disadvantage and the considerable time it would take to eliminate them all, Suho decides to redirect his focus towards a more lucrative target, someone with a higher bounty. Fortuitously, a figure emerges with a staggering bounty of $40,000. The name Choi Gushik. Suho contemplates leaving, but the allure of such a high bounty compels him to stay. He wonders just how formidable one must be to warrant such a price on their head. Witnessing Choi's arrival, those engaged in combat hastily flee, recognizing him as a C-ranker. Choi, unfazed by their retreat, challenges the 3 remaining combatants to face him in battle. Aware of their powerlessness against Choi, they resort to negotiation, offering anything to secure their escape. Yet Choi dismisses their pleas, finding the proposition tedious. However, just as Choi is about to crush them, Suho unexpectedly interjects, stunning everyone. Fearless and unwavering, Suho stands before Choi, seemingly unperturbed by the impending danger. Questioning Suho's identity and intentions, Choi receives no direct response. Instead, Suho brazenly asks if he is indeed the man with the $40,000 bounty. Frustrated, Choi repeats his query, only to be met with Suho's enigmatic reply, someone in dire need of money. Onlookers begin to worry for Suho, as no one in their right mind would willingly provoke a C-ranker. After all, Suho appears as nothing more than a mere child to them. Choi, disbelieving, asserts that Suho has made the worst decision of his life, insisting that it would have been better for him to stay away. Unfazed by Choi's words, Suho maintains his composure. Suddenly, an icy chill courses through Suho's body, rendering him unable to move. Choi revels in his victory, explaining that he can exert control over those who meet his gaze for more than 5 seconds. Ordering his men to break every bone in Suho's body, Choi's cruel intentions are abruptly interrupted as Suho lands a powerful punch. Baffled by Suho's unexpected retaliation, both Choi and the surrounding spectators fail to comprehend how he managed to break free from Choi's grasp. As Choi gazes upon Suho's face, he glimpses something truly chilling, a sinister and malevolent expression, hinting at Suho's readiness to deliver a brutal demise. Realizing his fatal error, Choi is gripped by profound fear, understanding that his life is now in grave jeopardy. What will happen next? Find out in our next recap of Soul Station Druid. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Manhwa recaps like this.
Last time, Suho's brother was being harassed by moneylenders, and our protagonist was getting ready to obliterate them all. Suho, our fearless protagonist, finds himself facing off against Choi, a formidable opponent. It looks like Suho is in big trouble. Just when Suho's about to get smacked, Choi's plans are foiled by a last-second move from Suho. Using his incredible ability, Choi gets bound up, leaving Suho feeling pretty smug, thinking the danger is over. But wait, hold on to your swords. Suho's victory dance is short-lived because he underestimates his opponent once again. Suho's all like, "You think you can defeat me? Ha! Your bind ability is nothing compared to my skills." With a swift kick, Suho sends Choi flying like a ragdoll. The other 3 characters in the scene are gobsmacked by Suho's display of power. It's like they just witnessed a magic trick that made their jaws drop. Meanwhile, Suho finds himself surrounded by Choi's goons, each carrying swords dripping with the blood of their unfortunate victims. Intense, right? Suho doesn't flinch. He challenges Choi's lackeys, daring them to fight him too. These poor guys, realizing it's mission impossible, start begging for mercy and spilling their guts. They spill the beans on how Choi forced them to work for him, and how they're now seeing a golden opportunity to escape the clutches of their muscle-bound tyrant. Suho, ever the clever one, demands a rope from one of the 3 guys who witnessed the whole spectacle. Choi, in his fury, calls them traitors, but they reveal their true feelings, confessing that they've always despised him. Score 1 for the underdogs. Choi, realizing he can't do it all alone, tries to make a deal with Suho. He promises to use all his influence and power to make Suho the king of the city, if only he lets him go. Suho, not one to fall for empty promises, responds by delivering a knockout kick that leaves Choi unconscious. Now Suho turns to Choi's men once more, demanding their bounty, but they still claim to be worthless, insisting that killing them won't do any good. But here comes the twist. The 3 hunters who've been observing the chaos drop a truth bomb on Suho. It turns out every single one of Choi's goons is a criminal with a bounty on their heads. Jackpot! Seeing an opportunity for some extra cash, Suho decides to add these criminals to his hunting list. Cha-ching! Later, the 3 hunters, grateful for Suho's help, offer him a ride in their car and express their thanks. Little do they know, Suho wasn't there to lend a helping hand in the first place. Classic Suho. Curiosity piqued, Suho asks the hunters about their special powers. The leader spills the beans, revealing that he became a sword fighter after awakening and even learned some badass skills from books. Suho, utterly surprised by this revelation, decides he wants in on this book learning action. The hunters find it odd that Suho, with all his strength, is unaware of skill books. They exchange bewildered glances. Finally, unable to contain his curiosity any longer, Suho asks the hunters about the favor they wanted to ask. He's ready to lend a hand. Meanwhile, on the other side of the story, Captain Kang and his team emerge from a portal, looking worse for wear. Captain Kong, not one to mince words, berates his team for acting like a bunch of crybabies. He even threatens to get them fired because he's had enough of their incompetence. But his partner manages to calm him down, reminding him of the unfair reality of the Awakener Bureau. Rich and privileged parents use their influence to make their kids hunters, hiring pros to do the dirty work while their kids reap the rewards. Captain Kong, fueled by his sense of justice, finds this system incredibly unfair. Just when Captain Kong wonders if anything interesting happened today, he learns that someone delivered 10 Ravagers, including a C-rank boss named Choi. Now he's really shocked, because defeating a C-ranker isn't child's play. He can't help but wonder who the mastermind behind this victory could be. The guards spill the beans, revealing that the person responsible for the chaos is none other than a newbie F-ranker. Captain Kang's eyes widen with disbelief. He demands to know where this F-ranker went, and the guards inform him that the last sighting was inside a portal. With newfound determination, Captain Kong races towards the portal, eager to witness Suho's unbelievable strength with his own eyes. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Which manhwa artist do you think has the most visually stunning artwork in their series? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. Captain Kong turned to the operator, curiosity brimming in his eyes, and asked the pivotal question, which door did Suho use to enter the portal? Meanwhile, on the other side, Suho had already stepped into the portal, sporting a snazzy new set of clothes that, to his surprise, were able to withstand the dimensional energy. These special garments didn't come cheap, but boy, were they worth it. As Suho took in his surroundings, he couldn't help but notice something peculiar. With an intrigued expression, he turned to his partner and asked, "Hey, what's that thing over there?" His partner eagerly explained that it was a door, a gateway to one of the 38 different dungeons that hunters could explore. And guess what? The door they had just used happened to be number 24. Talk about luck. But just as Suho's excitement reached its peak, the door suddenly vanished into thin air. Perplexed, he inquired about this puzzling disappearance. That's when he learned the harsh truth. Doors would only reappear once the dungeon was cleared. Suho couldn't help but feel a twinge of impatience. Clearing a whole dungeon sounded like a monumental task. Did it mean he had to slay every single monster? The mere thought of it made Suho shudder. He wasn't exactly keen on spending eternity in there. Thankfully, Suho's partner had some reassuring news. All they needed to do was defeat the strongest monster within the dungeon, and the door would open once again. This revelation filled Suho with newfound vigor. The desire to hunt down the strongest adversary ignited within him like a raging fire. Fueled by determination, Suho wasted no time and set off on his quest to find the fearsome beast that awaited him. However, not everyone shared Suho's unwavering enthusiasm. Concern crept into his partner's mind. What if Suho got lost? After all, he wasn't exactly a master tracker. Losing Suho would spell doom for them both, as they would be trapped within the dimension forever. Realizing the gravity of the situation, his partner embarked on a frantic search to find his reckless comrade. Meanwhile, the dimension buzzed with monstrous creatures, hungering for a fight. Suddenly, a voice rang out, followed by a swift and deadly kick that dispatched one of the creatures in an instant. Suho had arrived, ready to unleash his merciless wrath upon any foe that crossed his path. With no mercy in his heart, he engaged in a ruthless battle, leaving a trail of defeated monsters in his wake. Amidst the chaos, Suho stumbled upon a valuable blood crystal. A profitable find indeed. Leaving behind the blood-soaked battleground, Suho continued his quest to encounter an even more formidable adversary. However, when his partner finally caught up to him, he was met with a grim scene. A horde of goblin corpses littered the ground, resembling a scene straight out of a gory massacre. Suho had reaped skill points from his relentless slaughter, enough to unlock a plethora of new abilities. Fascinated by the options before him, he chose to summon the ancient tree spirit, a mystical being he had encountered in another world. Commanding the tree spirit to search for more goblins, Suho utilized its unique connection to nature, communicating through trees and grass, to expand his hunting ground. Examining his stat screen, Suho's eyes widened with delight as he discovered he had leveled up. His achievement count now stood at an impressive 345. A new option caught his attention: search and track. Recognizing their significance, he swiftly invested his remaining points into acquiring both skills. Suho's newfound abilities came into play as he marked the entire area using the search skill. Guided by the tracking skill, he finally stumbled upon a presence that surpassed the mere goblin threat. It was something powerful and intimidating, a perfect target for Suho's prowess. Eager for battle, he wasted no time and rushed to confront his formidable opponent, only to find his partner engaged in a desperate struggle against the monster. Frustrated and concerned, Suho shouted at his partner, reminding him of the importance of staying together and not venturing off alone. But amidst the chaos, the monster paid no heed to their conversation. Its sole focus was on unleashing carnage. Suho swiftly intervened, launching a devastating kick that sent the monster reeling. Without giving it a moment's respite, he ruthlessly unleashed blow after blow until the beast lay lifeless, defeated at his feet. In that climactic moment, Suho experienced an instant surge in power, leveling up and gaining an astonishing 120 points. Meanwhile, his partner stood in awe, shock etched across his face. He had never witnessed such a relentless and ruthless hunter in action. Suho, being the fearless and powerful hunter he is, nonchalantly questions whether the door will finally open after this impressive kill. Little did he know, this one takedown was more than enough to unlock the mysterious entrance. With their mission accomplished, they decide to make their grand exit through the portal, leaving everyone around them in utter astonishment. As they disappear before their eyes, one vigilant guard, remembering Captain Kong's orders, can't help but wonder if he should inform their esteemed leader about the return of this formidable duo. Hyung Nim, realizing the urgency of his team's meeting, bids farewell to Suho, expressing his profound gratitude for the incredible assistance he provided. They part ways, but little does Suho know that another exciting encounter awaits him just outside. Stepping out, Suho finds himself face to face with Captain Kong, who exudes a contagious enthusiasm to meet the renowned hero. The captain introduces himself as Captain Kong Min Hyuk, the fearless leader of the 27th Combat Team of the illustrious Shilla Guild. Intrigued by Suho's remarkable skills, Captain Kong requests a few minutes of his time. They find solace in a cozy bar where they can converse privately. The captain extends an enticing offer for Suho to join the prestigious Shilla Guild, assuring him a fantastic working environment. However, Suho wastes no time in politely declining the proposition, much to the captain's hidden frustration. Curiosity gets the better of Captain Kong, and he inquires whether Suho is affiliated with any other guild. If so, he promises to present an official offer to Suho's current guild. Suho insists that he operates independently, with no allegiance to any guild. Despite Captain Kong's attempts to convince him of the numerous benefits of joining the esteemed Shilla Guild, Suho stands firm in his belief that he is destined for greatness on his own terms. Returning home, Suho finds neither Junho nor his son present. He assumes they are off enjoying some well-deserved father-son bonding time, which warms his heart. Seeking a moment of respite, Suho climbs to a rooftop and reclines to rest. However, his relaxation is short-lived as Granny playfully scolds him for being idle, reminding him of his youth and untapped potential. Suho, being the helpful soul he is, decides to lend Granny a hand. With a mischievous twinkle in her eye, Granny teasingly questions Suho's age, suggesting that he may be aging backward. Suho playfully retorts, claiming he has actually reversed the aging process. While Granny may not fully grasp the concept, she accepts it, noting that the world has become stranger over the years. She lovingly advises Suho to take care of himself now that he has a family to cherish, emphasizing that losing a loved one is an indescribable pain. Assuring Granny that he is invincible, Suho is met with a cautionary warning, as Granny reveals that those who boast such confidence are often the first to meet their demise. Just as their conversation comes to an end, Junho and Gunwoo return, eagerly inquiring about Suho's whereabouts. Granny points them upstairs, informing them that Suho is patiently waiting. In a heartwarming gesture, Suho presents Junho with an envelope containing a whopping $50,000, the means to pay off all his debts. Initially overwhelmed by the unexpected generosity, Junho hesitates to accept the money, fearing his inability to repay such a substantial sum. Tears stream down his face, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of Suho's kindness. Suho gently urges him to cease the tears and embark on his journey to financial freedom. Grateful to the heavens for this life-altering blessing, Junho departs to settle his debts, leaving Suho to enjoy a moment of tranquility. Meanwhile, Gunwoo happily engages with their new furry companion, playfully pondering the perfect name for the adorable dog. Suho graciously hands over the naming duty to Gunwoo, who decides to call the dog Baku. Taking a quick peek at Baku's stat screen, Suho notices the pup is at level 1. Without further ado, they dive into a joyous playtime session, cherishing the simplicity of these precious moments. As evening sets in, Junho's truck returns, prompting Suho and Gunwoo to excitedly rush downstairs to greet him. However, their joy swiftly morphs into shock and concern as they witness Junho drenched in blood, struggling to remain on his feet. In a devastating turn of events, Junho collapses to the ground, leaving Suho and Gunwoo desperate to uncover the truth behind their brother's predicament. In a different setting, a dimly lit office houses a gathering of mobsters engrossed in discussions about betting odds for the upcoming SBF Championship tournament. Suddenly, a thunderous noise reverberates from outside, alerting them to imminent trouble. Before they can react, a henchman is swiftly whisked away, vanishing into the darkness. As fear grips their hearts, they find themselves captivated by a pair of eyes burning with an unmistakable fury. Suho, who possesses eyes that could pierce through steel, in a display of sheer strength, he effortlessly lifts a bench with one hand and hurls it at a mob, causing chaos and destruction. The intensity rises as Suho boldly confronts the boss, who is unaware of what's coming his way. With a determined expression, Suho asks if he's face-to-face with the notorious Kim Jong-soo. The boss hesitantly confirms his identity and thus begins a debt-settling showdown. Warning Suho that the government won't approve of his actions, Kim tries to deter him from attacking. However, Suho pays no heed to the warning and delivers a thunderous slap that knocks out Kim's teeth. In a flurry of blows, Suho teaches Kim a painful lesson for crossing the line and harming his brother. The tables turn as the defeated mob begs for forgiveness and promises never to harass Suho's brother again. Satisfied with his victory, Suho leaves without wasting a second, leaving behind an infuriated boss vowing revenge. Meanwhile, at the guild headquarters, Captain Kong bursts in, presenting Suho's profile to his boss, Mr. Park. Kong confidently claims that Suho is the best they can find. However, when they attempt to delve deeper into Suho's background, an unexpected message pops up, denying them access. Intrigued and astonished, Park and Kong embark on a hacking mission to uncover Suho's hidden profile. As they lay their eyes on his impressive stats, disbelief washes over them. How could a mere rookie possess such incredible abilities? Kong advocates for recruiting Suho at any cost, while Park suspects there's more to Suho than meets the eye, possibly a covert government agent. Despite Kong's persistence, Park dismisses the idea, deeming it a futile pursuit, but Kong manages to secure a compromise, requesting a weekly report on Suho's activities. In another part of town, Suho rushes to the hospital to visit his brother Junho. The looming mercenary exam hovers in their minds, but Suho remains resistant to the idea of working under someone else. After all, he was once the king of the jungle. Junho offers to search for prestigious guilds on Suho's behalf, but Suho proudly declines, proclaiming his intention to establish his very own guild. The stage is set for an exciting new chapter in Suho's journey. In the meantime, we catch a glimpse of Soo-young, stationed at the Awakener Bureau headquarters, where she faces the wrath of her boss due to recent incidents in her area. Feeling the pressure, she insists she's doing her best. However, her frustration peaks when she receives yet another job letter, forcing her to participate in an exam. Her boss warns her against rejecting too many applicants, a recurring issue for Soo-young. At the examination center, a crowd of eager applicants assembles, ready to prove their worth. Amidst the anticipation, a guy live streaming the event finds his broadcast interrupted by none other than Suho. Just as curiosity peaks, Major Kim Young-soo introduces himself, setting the stage for the examination. The crowd eagerly awaits their assigned supervisors, hoping for a favorable match. With a touch of randomness, the lottery begins, and the participants eagerly discover their supervisors. To everyone's surprise, the streaming guy and Suho find themselves under the guidance of supervisor number 15. And guess who it is? Soo-young. Excitement fills the air as strategies form and alliances take shape. Suho, ever observant, notices Dong-soo's gloomy demeanor and probes him about his sudden change in mood. Dong-soo reveals that they're in trouble because their assigned trainer, the blonde witch, has a reputation for being tough and failing candidates on a whim. Brushing off Dong-soo's concerns, Suho playfully accuses him of making excuses, igniting a spark of anger within Dong-soo. In a bid to settle matters, Dong-soo challenges Suho to a fight, convinced of his own strength. However, before the fight can unfold, Soo-young arrives, stumbling upon the deserted scene and wondering what she stumbled upon. Meanwhile, Suho and Dong-soo find themselves confined within a cage, ready to engage in a brawl. Dong-soo taunts Suho, reminding him of his past actions and boasting of his status as a rising YouTube boxer. Unfamiliar with the concept, Suho's perceived ignorance becomes a source of amusement for the spectators, who rally behind Dong-soo. As anticipation builds, Dong-soo eagerly predicts Suho will foot the medical bills after their showdown. Unbeknownst to Dong-soo, fighting has become a deep-rooted addiction for Suho, and he too eagerly embraces the impending battle. However, just as the clash is about to commence, Soo-young steps in, putting an end to the chaos. With a commanding presence, she orders everyone to disperse, threatening to fail them on the spot. The crowd hastily retreats, but Suho and Dong-soo remain defiantly in the cage. Soo-young confronts them, reminding them of the consequences they face for their actions. Realizing that one of them must take responsibility, she proposes that they continue their fight, with the loser facing elimination. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out 2KidShots 346 who commented, "Power to change probabilities." Think about it, on our Disaster Class Hero video. Thanks for commenting. Dong-soo asked Suho not to hold a grudge against him, but Suho apologized for what was about to transpire. Dong-soo attacked, but Suho countered and knocked him out. Soo-young was shocked, and had thought that Suho was the source of her discomfort since she saw him come out of the portal. Suho interrupted her thoughts and asked if she also wanted to fight him, but only under the condition that if he won, she wouldn't disqualify Dong-soo. Soo-young thought Suho was insane and entered the ring. She asked if he was an irregular, but Suho was confused by the term. She promised to explain it to him if he survived the fight. She swung a punch at Suho, but he dodged and blocked her next attacks. As they continued to fight, she told Suho that if he won, she would grant him one wish in addition to his original request. She threw a kick and suspected that Suho was keeping something hidden. Suho was impressed with her strength and praised it. She continued to attack, but Suho was able to dodge them. She then began throwing punches and kicks, which Suho countered with a punch. However, she used a shield to block it, but the shield shattered and pushed her back. Suho charged at her, enjoying the fight. She believed that Suho was an irregular, and when he was close to her, she raised her hand and surrendered. Suho was confused, but she explained that the space was too small for her to use her full abilities and suggested they continue the fight at another time. She asked him what he wanted. Suho inquired if there were many strong women like her on Earth. She replied that there were not many. He then suggested that they make babies together. She slapped him in response and left, calling him crazy. He considered leaving himself as he felt he had lost the fight and blamed Suho for getting him disqualified. Suho explained that he was not disqualified. In an office, a man was surprised to see Soo-young's loss, as he had been watching the fight on camera. Dong-soo was confused, and Suho explained to him that he had asked Soo-young to overlook his disqualification. Dong-soo then wondered why Soo-young had slapped him and thought it was his fault. He cried and referred to Suho as his big brother. Suddenly, they heard that Suho was being summoned to the supervisor's office. Suho met with the man who had observed his fight with Suyong and informed him that their conversation would be recorded. The man revealed that he was shocked to see Suho fight a B-rank awakener and questioned if he was an irregular. The man then explained about bridge portals that connect Earth to 3 other planets, one of which is Aruka, where dwarves and elves live in harmony. Returnees who have returned from Aruka have acquired skills related to magic and artifact crafting. The next planet is Hades, which is inhabited by monsters and martial artists. The martial artists are allies of Earth, while the monsters are Earth's enemies. Lastly, there is Meter, a planet ruled by ogres and overrun with vicious monsters. Whenever a portal opens to Meter, an all-out war is expected to occur. The Earthlings who returned from these planets, people who learned powerful skills and whose combat abilities exceeded those of Awakeners, are called Irregulars. Suho found it complicated and was certain that the place he went to wasn't one of those planets. However, the man was thinking if Su-Yung was just a dungeon returner, that wouldn't explain how he could fight a B-ranker. Then he asked Suho what kind of planet she came back from. Suho told his story. The man thanked him and told him to head back to the waiting room. After Suho left the office, the man was surprised by his story and called in a soldier to take over as supervisor number 15. He ordered him to monitor Suho and provide a detailed report. After the exams concluded, Dong-Su excelled in the 100-meter dash, demonstrating remarkable speed. Following closely was Suho, surprising everyone with his swift performance. The major received Suho's exam results and promptly shared a video with Kim Miso from the Returner Bureau, instructing her to watch it without delay. Kim Miso's assistant informed her that the major possessed a unique ability to detect falsehoods, validating the authenticity of Suho's interview with the doctor. As the pieces fell into place, it became evident that Suho hailed from a distant 4th planet. Swift action was taken as Kim Miso ordered the immediate removal of reporters from the training grounds. Unfortunately, time was against them, as the assistant had already stumbled upon an article about Suho. Recognizing the urgency, Kim Miso swiftly issued orders to have the article taken down, but the damage had already been done. Kim Miso was contemplating that Suho was able to maintain his physical condition after passing through the portal without protective gear and was given an F rank. Due to a depletion in dimensional energy, Kim Miso pondered the possibility that Suho might truly hail from a 4th planet. Such a revelation could potentially grant Korea an edge in advancing knowledge about this enigmatic realm. Meanwhile, as the reporters found themselves hindered from reaching Suho and Dong-Su ate food. Observing Suho, Dong-Su discerned a certain aura that set him apart, predicting his rise to popularity. Within the waiting room, only a duo remained. Dong-Su inferred that they were the sole survivors of the exam. Anxiety loomed as they contemplated the upcoming trial involving dungeon raids, a challenge requiring additional members. Suho, however, reassured his companion, dispelling apprehensions. Conjecturing that Suho's proficiency in the impending raid could attract the attention of prestigious guilds, Dong-Su entertained the idea. In a surprising twist, Suho invited Dong-Su to join his clan, announcing his decision to abstain from joining an existing guild. Building upon this notion, Dong-Su conceived a compelling plan, the creation of a video chronicling their clan's inception and their subsequent exploits on raids. Dong-Su readily embraced the proposal, accompanied by heartfelt tears. Their aspirations gained momentum when a monk abruptly entered the scene, identifying himself as Myong-jin. His arrival coincided with an announcement, mandating applicants to assemble in battle attire within the briefing room within half an hour. Myong-jin elaborated on the examiner's tendency to orchestrate impromptu dungeon raids under the shroud of night. Dong-Su's incredulous reaction echoed throughout the room. The group received details about the impending dungeon raid, uncovering that it was safeguarded by the Phoenix Guild. Suho sought clarification regarding the concept of under protection, revealing a knowledge gap. Dong-Su enlightened Suho, disclosing the city's predicament involving the sudden emergence of interdimensional portals and the government's struggle to manage the crisis. Guilds emerged as a solution, assigned to oversee and safeguard distinct sectors of the city, while harnessing the dimensional energy extracted from controlled dungeons. Suho's realization dawned. His initial intent to establish a clan stemmed from a yearning for the thrill of hunting with his old pack. Suho and Dong-Su were excited to have their own dungeon. Dong-su mentioned the benefits of dungeon ownership, highlighting the cost savings. Suho shared their ultimate goal of forming a guild, though Dong-su reminded them about needing to pass the mercenary exam first. The dungeon they planned to raid had only 15 days left before its collapse, featuring a labyrinth-style layout with minimal monsters. Concerns arose about getting lost, but Suho assured them of his search skill. Questions about the monk's abilities led to a flashback of past experiences. At one point, a monster ambush occurred at the temple, and evacuation advice came too late. After the briefing, the group headed towards the portal, instructed by the supervisor to stay focused. Entering the dungeon, they faced challenges including a skeleton attack. They encountered traps, leading to a lower dungeon level. Monsters closed in, and they got ready to fight. Suho's tactical kicks helped them advance, and he invited the monk to join their clan. Traps were identified, and waves of monsters engaged. After emerging from a hole, they found a trail of defeated foes. Following Suho's lead, they killed all of the monsters. Finishing the dungeon within a short span, they amazed observers. They later entered a new dungeon with bats, relying on Myungjin's skills. A boss emerged, swiftly defeated by Suho. Updates on their progress reached Kim Miso, who recalled Lee Seonggu and decided to have a meeting with Suho. Concerns arose when Myungjin didn't show up for work, but Junho assured the team they qualified for level update. Earnings potential excited Dong-su. Suho granted them a rest day, going shopping for a new truck. Post-shopping, they aided Junho's awakening. During this time, loan sharks discussed guild funding. The boss had plans involving manager Choi, an expert in erasing individuals. Contact was made to execute this plan. Kim Miso joined the Suho clan, meeting Granny. Meanwhile, Junho nervously waited for Suho when a goblin suddenly appeared on their car, prompting Suho's intervention. Suho handed over a knife to Dong-su, instructing him to eliminate the creature and follow his lead. However, Junho was grappling with doubts about awakening. Suho reassured him that weakness wouldn't lead to survival, urging him once more to take down the target. With a firm command, Suho ordered the dog to attack and sink its teeth into the goblin. The creature's arm was bitten, but Suho soon informed Junho that the dog couldn't finish the job. He emphasized that Beku's life depended on Junho's next move. Responding to the pressure, Junho plunged the knife into the goblin, freeing Beku. Suho's orders rang in his ears as he relentlessly stabbed, his hands now stained with blood. The prospect of death loomed as Suho warned Junho that failure to kill would lead to his demise. Pressing forward, Junho followed Suho's lead, engaging and defeating other goblins. As Suho distanced himself, memories of abandonment flooded Junho's mind. Fueled by a mixture of emotions, he drove the knife into the goblin's head, stabbing its body repeatedly. Maniacal laughter echoed as Junho fought off another goblin, his mind seemingly unhinged. Caught in this intense moment, Suho observed Junho's information display, amused by the designation Butcher. With the chaos subsiding, Suho invited Junho to join him in finishing the task. Together, they made their way to the Awakener's Bureau, Junho's blood-soaked appearance unnerving the staff. Cleaning and quarantine were mandated before they were directed to the third floor for dimensional energy assessment. Suho explained that Junho needed a dimensional energy level exceeding 100 to qualify as an F-rank Awakener and sit for the mercenary examination. Junho's measurement surpassed this threshold at 111, prompting him to proceed to the ability manifestation room. What will happen next? Find out in our next recap. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Manhwa recaps like this.